People who have bought a stranger a drink at the bar. How did it go? Once bored at my table with friends and witnessed two people exchange glances further at the bar but no initiative. So I bought 2 drinks, asked the bartender to give it to them separately and say the other bought it. That was a very fun scene to witness from afar. They ended up chatting all night and leaving together. Sweet older lady at a bar a few weeks ago offered to buy my whole table of girls' drinks if we danced, because she didn't want to be the only one on the dance floor. We gladly obliged. An older lady who was deep in a conversation with her friend quietly had the bartender get me a drink. She never looked or said anything to me. Had her back to me talking to a friend. I thought it was nice, said by her one back. The bartender then said, she isn't trying to have anything happen. She's just being nice. Yeah. Of course. She's literally had her back to me all night. I didn't even pay her any mind. So I said, I know, I'm just being nice too. And the bartender acted like I was trying to get with her. But she got the other girl a drink and we went back to not interacting whatsoever. Eventually I got sufficiently drunk and went home. I bought a drink for a woman one time. Hadn't made eye contact, no proof she was aware I existed. My biggest problem was that my friend that was with me hadn't had enough liquid courage to get up and go talk to her himself. I pulled the waitress aside, asked her to buy this woman whatever drink she wanted on my tab, but tell her it was from my friend. I received a text message at 3 a.m. from my friend that same morning that said, if I marry her, you're going to be the best man at my wedding. Best part is that I have probably one of the greatest photos of me in a tux on their wedding day. I remember seeing a cute girl at a bar in the early evening. One guy bought her a drink, which the bartender delivered. A different guy did the same. She smiled and waved thanks to them. I flagged the bartender down and ordered her a water. She laughed and we chatted a bit. That was the end of it though. My wife and I were at a happy hour at a local Mexican restaurant. Pre-COVID they would lay out an impressive spread of buffet food for free. Drinks were $2 off. We would drop our sons off nearby for basketball practice and sometimes go for happy hour. So one Friday night, just after we arrived, an older couple, late 60s or early 70s arrived and ordered their drinks. We shared the same waiter, and we told him we wanted to pay for their drink. Great. Until they proceeded to absolutely pound margaritas, 3 drinks to our 1. After about 90 minutes, we were finishing our second and last margaritas, and they were finishing their 6th margarita, each. So we waved down our now busy waiter and clarified we would pay for their first drinks and not the 5 subsequent rounds. The waiter laughed and said he hadn't even told them of our offer yet. Phew. It was awesome. I was really drunk and I bought a random fella a shot of tequila. He was from Iraq and we ended the night with him hugging me crying because people are usually scared of him, thinking he's a terrorist. He hadn't felt included in so long. It was nice. The hangover was not. I was sitting at a local bar by myself having a burger and a beer. Suddenly, the bartender brought over a large whiskey shot and I was confused until she leaned in and told me the gorgeous girl I had glanced at a couple times sent it over to me. We've been together ever since, smiley face. I was the designated wingman, deployed to get the convo started. Early in the evening we saw a group of cute girls, tipped the bartender $5 to get them each shots of water. When it arrived they looked over at us, we tipped our glasses to them, they cheered back, clanked glasses, and down the hatch. Oh, the look on their faces. My brothers did not know how to follow up with banter and striked out as soon as they come over to chat us up. I'm a guy. A man bought me a drink once. I was fucking stoked. I thought he wanted to talk sports, there was a lot of bro talk. I bought him the next round to pay him back, and then I continued on with my night with my buddies. The next day I realized what was going on and gave myself a little high five. I lost a game of rock paper scissors to my friend to decide who would get to talk to the cute girl in a group at another table. For still unknown reasons, he chatted up the friends and left me sitting next to the cute one. Married 20 years with 4 kids. I do it all the time when the bar line is really long. I walk up to a solo or couple and ask if I can buy them a drink so I can skip the line. Works every time. I get a drink within 5 minutes instead of 25, and they get a free drink. We go our separate ways after that. I was at my usual bar in college and it was totally empty that night, but I was friends with the bartender. These 2 guys came in and I overheard it was one's 21st birthday, so I bought him a drink and we got to talking. They were brothers and the older one was extremely hot. Last call rolled around and we go to walk home and they lived a block from me and we walked together. I ended up asking if they wanted to drink more at my place and we polished off a bottle of whiskey and hung out until daylight. I'm married to the big brother now, been together 10 years and he's still astonishingly hot. She tried to run me over with her car some months later. The bartender gave me a glass of water that I didn't ask for, but hey, I like water. He immediately said, "Oops, that water was for her," and indicated a blonde sitting a few feet away. She was watching all of this, so I picked up the glass of water while making eye contact and licked all around the top of the glass. She laughed, and came over and asked if she could join me. Was feeling particularly confident that night, so I bought a girl who I made eye contact with at the bar a drink. We have 2 kids and have been together for 16 years. Bought a group of Latino gang members a bucket of beer once to thank them for having me in their territory and not caving my head in when I wandered into their local dive bar as a drunk Australian tourist. Security guys wearing full-body black outfits, balaclavas and dark sunglasses checking everyone entering with metal detector wands and pat-downs should have been a warning not to enter, but drunk me had other ideas. She flirted me up a bit. She told me she was there for her friend's birthday, so if I wanted to buy her a drink, I needed to get a round for all her friends. I bought all 5 of them drinks. She took the drinks to their table and ignored me for the rest of the night. Next time a woman flirted me up at the bar. I went to order a drink and she asked me to get her one. I bought her a drink and she immediately walked away from the bar and didn't really talk to me the rest of the night. I was in Melbourne alone one night after traveling there for a job interview, sitting on a large couch surrounded by strangers. The waitress came around to take my order and I said, "Plus whatever these lovely ladies are having." They all laughed and I introduced myself and told them my story. Apparently one of the girls owned the club and thought I was adorable. Wasn't long before we were in the backroom office/lounge room. First time I ever saw a brick of coke chiseled away with an ice pick. In the type of wanker who when tipsy splashes out, when I used to drink anyway. All my friends and all their partners and anyone in the group got free drinks. I'd go home alone, minus $500 for the night. It's funny now that I'm older and don't party, how many of them friends I still have. I'd say at least 2 of them I keep in contact with. I'm not a bad drunk, just a waste money on people who I shouldn't waste money on kind of drunk. Married guy here. I was at a bar with a couple of guy friends who are kind of shy, so I walked up to a table with 2 gals and explained. I'm married, but my 2 friends are single, can we buy you a round and hang out with you for a minute? They agreed, but also requested that they get the drinks from the bartenders instead of getting the drinks brought out to them. Guess they were concerned about getting their drinks spiked. Not faulting them at all, just guess that's how it works these days. While halfway around the world in Florence, I overheard 2 girls sitting at the bar beside me talking about how one of them had recently finished her med tech program. I was genuinely happy for her and said hey, I couldn't help but overhear but wanted to just say congrats and bought them both a shot. I wasn't trying to hook up with either of them and just wanted to do something nice for a pair of travelers like myself who were celebrating a big achievement. We ended up drinking, talking and partying all night and I had new travel buddies for the next 2 weeks of my trip. When we had to go our separate ways, we ended up keeping in touch and would randomly get together in some other foreign place every year or so if all the timing worked out. Unfortunately now we're all super busy with our careers and families that we haven't chatted in years, but I still think of them all the time and hope they're doing well. To Kelly and Lindsay, I love you guys. Sometimes when I'm visiting an unfamiliar bar occupied by a regular crowd, I'll ask the bartender to buy the house around. I'm talking hole in the wall, but friendly vibe type of place. Even if there is 15 to 20 people, it is not a wallet breaker if I'm expecting to cover $100 or so. Toss a nice tip on top and you are pretty much family at that point. I've never had a negative experience, and I've made some quick friends in what would have been an evening drinking among strangers. And typically I get a number of drinks in reciprocation. It's not an every time thing because sometimes I want to drink quietly among strangers. Oh, and P.S., you should have a story ready as to the reason you are buying even if BS. Something to warrant the gesture but not make me a mark. My go-to if asked is, grandson was born today, and I wanted to celebrate with others. Me, M28, I have too many of these stories as I am quite extroverted and like connecting with strangers. 2 of my favorite ones. Me and a friend were broke backpackers on a boat trip to a deserted island for a day. Started chatting with the man across from us and eventually he invited us to join dinner in a nice beach restaurant where he had ordered some special local food in the days before. Had a great time, then a day later we met him in the bar again and he just told the waiter to put all our drinks on his tab. What a legend, planning on paying this forward when I have the chance in the future. Went to a rooftop bar in Germany, started talking very broken German to a man that just hopped in the elevator with us and asked how he was doing. Once we were in the rooftop bar, everything was full. Turned out this man was the manager of the place and got us a table, drinks, and even directed some female guests to our table. Fun nights. In 2007, I took a stool by an old man watching the Bulls at my corner bar. We talked and I bought us rounds through the game. When he left, he asked my rent, shook his head. Not anymore. I'm lowering it. He owned my building. Next day, rent was less. That Friday, the bartender waved, showed me a ledger. My name and $300 banked for drinks. His gift, too, was having a friendly chat with another dude at the bar. I figured he was cool as hell, so I got him a refill of whatever it was he was drinking. All friendly stuff. The next time I came to the bar, he was there and ordered me one. I have a tendency to make friends anywhere I go, and I like that part of myself. I was working on a cruise ship in US, and in the summer of 2005 I decided to spend my 2 months vacation in Las Vegas, instead of going home in Eastern Europe. The plan was to stay at some good friends in Henderson, but for the first week they were away, so I got a room at the Stratosphere Hotel. In the first evening, tired after traveling and with no plans, I went down to the hotel's PT sports bar, looking to unwind and scout the environment. It was some important game, so the bar was full and very animated. As I was sipping from my beer sitting at the bar counter, I see a beautiful young woman making her way through the mob, reaching the bar 20 feet away from me, and trying to get the bartender's attention to order something. He was right next to me, and I made him aware of her and also told him that whatever she's ordering, it will be on my tab. She graciously accepted and, with the drink in her hand, she made her way towards me. What followed after is still a blur in my mind, but whatever I remember is seared deep down in my memories, never to be forgotten. We talked and drank for a couple of hours, and around 11 p.m. she convinced me to take her to a nightclub, where we drank again and smoked some powerful weed, and I freaked out inside, because I had the feeling I cannot control anything anymore. Then around 1 a.m. she took me to a hotel with a cowboy bar, where I rode a mechanical bull. We drank again and she taught me to line or barn dance, and it felt great, although I was the only metalhead on that huge dance floor filled with typical cowboys and cowgirls. Then we drank some fancy cocktails in another bar with an outside terrace where every table had some nice lit pink and blue artisans for every table. Don't remember much, but I have the feeling now that it was a gay bar. Then at 4 a.m. we ended up in my hotel room, where I had one of the best segs of my life for a couple of hours, not going into details, until we both fell asleep, while the sun was rising over the strip. Around 10 a.m., she wakes up scared, starts putting her clothes on, repeating on and on that she's late, and, when I asked her to stay for a breakfast together, she told me she's with her parents in the same hotel and they have a plane back home in a couple of hours. I was left perplexed, as I realized she might have been underage. I was in my 30s at that time, and didn't know much about her, other than her name was Emily and she was from Richmond, Virginia, if any of it true. Never heard of her anymore, but man, that first night on the strip was the beginning of 2 crazy months in Las Vegas.